the recent comment by the US State Department, which seemed like a warning to India to cooperate with Canada as a demand rather than a suggestion, indicates that India has lost its goodwill and trust significantly across Atlantic.
India's relations progressively are deteriorating with other neighbors. In the days to come, you would see more heat from the Western powers. Also be a wake-up call to India that, relying on Western powers to an extent does not give them the free pass.
India is willing to engage with Pakistan only when it is feeling a sign of weakness or heat somewhere. But whenever it has a self-belief of glory and power and status, it follows a policy of promoting global terrorism around the world through its intelligence agencies.
The very fact that Indian External Affairs Minister chose to come to Pakistan comes in the wake of quite a few developments. From the Indian national interest, I think it was a smart move by India to send their top diplomat. After a brief vacation or pause, whatever you call it, we are back. The weekend is back. I am Murtaza Solangi.
And I am Muhammad Ali.
Well, a lot has happened, a lot is happening, and a lot will happen in the days to come. While in Pakistan, major constitutional amendments are on the anvil as we speak. The committee to decide the future of constitutional amendments has given its verdict that it will go through minus PTI. Just a little while ago, PTI leadership announced that they do not concur with those amendments. So we will see how that goes. But a lot of regional and international developments have taken place, which might have a lot of implications for us, for our region, and the world at large. While in the conflict in the Middle East, the recent news is about the assassination of Gaza Hamas leader Sinwar, Yahya Sinwar. But more than that, Pakistan was host to a major multilateral forum, the 10-member SCO, which ended on October the 16th. It was a 2-day event. And interestingly, India's External Affairs Minister, Jaishankar, did arrive. We will talk about that as well. While we are talking about India's foreign minister or external affairs minister and his visit to Pakistan, their foreign minister came in the middle of a major diplomatic thunderstorm with their Western allies, with Canada, USA, and even UK. So we will talk about that as well. Let's open with the event that Pakistan hosted just 2 days back. The joint communique of the event has already been released. But before that event takes took place. China's premier or prime minister, Li Qiang, came to Pakistan on a bilateral visit. So he arrived just a day before the SCO Summit. So he had a bilateral visit of his own. And then SCO Summit started. We will talk about the importance of this event and how successfully Pakistan hosted that event. But we would also talk about the visit of Indian External Affairs Minister. Ali, would you briefly, comment on that event and the importance and the strategic environment around the visit of Mr. Jaishankar?
Thank you, Mr. Solangi. I think it's a very important event for four reasons. Number one, its timing. Number two, the participants. Number three, the outcome document. And number four, its way forward. And just to contextualize for Pakistan, it is very important for two reasons. Number one, because it was a major summit involving number of international leaders after quite some time. So that reflects that Pakistan's trust and respect in the international community has grown significantly, despite our domestic economic and political challenges. So that is something that these countries want to discuss, the changing world order, the geopolitical, geoeconomic, environmental challenges in Islamabad, despite some domestic challenges in political and economic domain in Pakistan. Secondly, I think SCO offers Pakistan an opportunity to link and integrate South Asia with at least 3 to 4 very important and economically significant regions. If I were to divide the high-level representation at the SCO Summit into 4 regions, you can see leadership from Northeast Asia, from China and Mongolia. You see significant participation from the leadership of Central Asia. And you also saw representation from East Europe, not just Russia, but also Belarus. So this indicates that if Pakistan, in collaboration with these countries, can surmount the geopolitical, security, terrorism-related challenges, which are primarily emanating from Afghanistan, then all these 4 regions can extract enormous benefits for mutual economic gain. So that is an opportunity and significance for this conference. The third most important aspect is the communique or the joint statement. And you've been, looking at these events for almost, 40 years now. So you would also agree that I have not seen such a comprehensive joint statement in a long time. But what is the most significant thing that I noticed? In my view, there are 2 things which are the most significant in terms of ways and things to come. The first thing is that it recommends that the Belt and Road Initiative of China, which essentially is a geo-economic global roadmap, needs to be reinforced by evolving a Eurasian economic union. Now, that is something which is quite ambitious, but I think interesting and significant around the world. And I think there has been talk of soft borders, soft visa regimes, and perhaps even a common currency in future. So I see the emergence of a common thought process similar to what we witnessed at the time when European Union was being considered as an idea, which later translated into the current form of European Union, where you see soft borders, a common currency of euro, and a mutually, well considered foreign policy, if not a single foreign policy. So, and there are common binding factors which have brought these countries of SCO member states together, including separatism, including terrorism, including drugs trade. So I think there's a lot that these people are interested and are worried about. And let's see in the days to come and years to come if these countries walk the talk. What's your perspective on this, Murtaza?
Ali, I think you have explained the context and the importance quite, comprehensive, quite in a comprehensive manner. While you discussed how the leaders of Northeast Asia and Central Asia and East Europe participated at the highest level. An important participation was from what is also known as West Asia. Iran, despite the troubles they are having, they had a high-level representation. So that, and when you add India to it, the entire South Asia somehow is represented. It has been talked about, how big this area is, with almost 42% of the global population living in this under this multilateral forum, and over 30% global GDP is somehow residing under the framework of this multilateral forum. The importance of SCO is also emerging because of the change in the global order. The supremacy of the US is waning, and instead of a unipolar world, the multipolar world is emerging, with China playing an important role. Started as Shanghai Five, with China, Russia, and some Central Asian republics. It has expanded its role. More and more countries are applying to become members and observers in this new multilateral forum. So the importance of this multilateral forum is rising. The very fact that in the global rivalry, India is part of the Western powers bloc, but they chose in 2017, along with Pakistan, to be a member of this, because even Indian strategists know where the wind is blowing. They also know how the world is changing. And we will talk about that changing scenarios in a little while. But I think it was a very important event. Pakistan's position on the diplomatic globe went higher. You rightly said, after almost many years, Pakistan had this opportunity to host this forum. And the arrangements were immaculate. The way security and other accommodation and the media facility was arranged, I think Pakistan needs a pat on the back. And even Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, on his parting tweet or X post, acknowledged not only the hospitality but the arrangements that were made. So,
So let me quickly ask you, since you mentioned the Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, what do you make of his participation? Why did he come? What did he say? And what should we make out of it?
well, I will try to pick your brains on that, but let me just put my 2 cents. As I said in 2017, when India joined this forum, SCO, India was already part of the Western powers bloc. They are part of Quad. They have a strategic relationship with United States. But every country has to see the global developments from the prism of their national interests. So they also know that US is not a waxing moon, but a waning moon. The de-dollarization is already being talked about, and the European alliance with the United States is weakening. So, in this changing global order, with China sitting on their necks, they have to think about their own national interests. Now, the very fact that Indian External Affairs Minister chose to come to Pakistan comes in the wake of quite a few developments, including uh, the developments that recently have taken place vis-a-vis the region India is part of, and also at the global scale. There was a time Indian strategists were planning to isolate Pakistan, to consider Pakistan irrelevant, as they were, trying to cozy up with other South Asian neighbors like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Maldives. As you have witnessed in last uh, couple of years, India's relations progressively are deteriorating with other neighbors. The recent most was Bangladesh, where they lost their um, strategic asset, as they would call it, Sheikh Hasina Wajid, and the worsening of relations with Bangladesh. Last year, I was in Malé on the oath taking of the new president of Maldives. And soon after I departed, Maldives asked India to pull their troops out of the islands. Uh, just recently, Sri Lanka had elections, and a Marxist president has taken over. Sri Lanka's relations with India have been strained after that Tamil Tigers insurgency, when Pakistan supported Sri Lanka's integration. So they already have skirmishes and quite, uh, hostile relations militarily with China. So what is left? I remember I joked once in Delhi when a journalist asked me how are uh, India's relations with its neighbors if India was going to accept Pakistan as a peacemaker in the region. So my comment was that I congratulate India on finally finding a country you don't have territorial disputes with, Afghanistan, because Afghanistan had recently joined SARC in 2007. So this is the backdrop of the region. And as you have seen, the relations with Canada over this assassination in British Columbia in June last year, and what has followed, and quite recently, the relations went so bad that both countries had to expel their high commissioners and diplomatic missions. So it was in that diplomatic storm, South Bloc had to decide to either come to Islamabad or stay put. And from the Indian national interest, I think it was a smart move by India to send their top diplomat. And I think our former foreign minister, Hina Rabani Kar, also used this term, a smart move by India. So, with tactical differences with the West, isolated in its own region, I think it was smart on the part of India to, you know, pretend the magnanimity and come to Islamabad. But Pakistan showed magnanimity, and we didn't raise bilateral disputes much during this visit, and probably icing on the cake was two interactions, media interactions by former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and lunch hosted by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, where special arrangements were made for Jaishankar and our Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar to sit together.
Let me take your point further. I think you made a very interesting analysis, which makes me wonder that perhaps India is willing to engage with Pakistan only when it is feeling a sign of weakness or heat somewhere. But whenever it has a self-belief of glory and power and status, it follows a policy of promoting global terrorism around the world through its intelligence agencies. And it seems perhaps they have overestimated their power and also overestimated the goodwill and their utility for the Western power centers. And I think you made a very important point, and let me contextualize it, that it seems that in the last few weeks and months, perhaps India's strategic space has shrunk, both globally and regionally. You have seen their influence waning in Afghanistan when their sympathetic government went out of power 3 years ago. They lost important friends and assets in the form of the unceremonious departure of Sheikh Hasina. And now you clearly see a very blunt and critical, unfriendly narrative towards Bangladesh being emanating from Delhi on a daily basis. And when you look at their Western allies, which includes the US, which includes Canada, which includes Australia, which includes New Zealand, this I-5 alliance, they seem to be sharing a chorus of concern and condemnation towards the Indian expression and use of its hard power through employing its intelligence agents and diplomats by deploying them to assassinate their critics and political opponents in the heartland of the very countries which are trying to support and build up India as a bulwark against China. So I think the recent comment by the US State Department, which seemed like a warning to India to cooperate with Canada as a demand rather than a suggestion, indicates that India has lost its goodwill and trust significantly across Atlantic.
I agree with you. It looks like both the US, UK, and Canada, they have read the Miranda rights to India. And it's a clear expression that, yes, we are strategic partners to contain China, and we have economic interests. But they will not allow their national sovereignty violated just because they have common interests. So this is playing out as today. I read the indictment in New York against their official, what they call former official. One of the accomplices was already extradited from Czech Republic, Prague. So in the days to come, you would see more heat from the Western powers, and eventually an equilibrium will be achieved. I understand that the interdependence and the strategic interests both have. Finally, they will be able to resolve this. But this would be a major wake-up call to South Bloc, to Delhi, that the aggressive, muscular, arm-twisting methods under Modi government, under Ajit Doval, will not get a free call in the Western Hemisphere. So you see the solidarity of Five Eyes on this issue. And it would also be a wake-up call to India that, relying on Western powers to an extent does not give them the free pass to go around and act like a trigger-happy sheriff in an old cowboy movies.
I think something related to the cricket as well, which is the most popular sport across South Asia and draws more attention from this part of the world than perhaps anywhere else in the world. And last week, when Pakistan lost to England in the first test, there was a lot of celebration and criticism in the Indian media and social media that Pakistan has a very weak team. But two things have happened in the last 24 hours. Yesterday, the most highly paid superstars of Indian cricket were routed and bowled out by a decent and young New Zealand bowling attack at the miserly total of 46. And they are facing an imminent innings defeat there. Whereas Pakistan sort of did a surgery of its superstars and inducted new talent. And they rose to the challenge and seized the opportunity, and today defeated the very strong English batting lineup by 152 runs. So now today, the reaction of bemusement, which we witnessed last week in the Indian media, has been replaced by that of shock. So that's also something very interesting.
Yes, and on this note, I think we should say goodbye and see you next week, next Friday. I think that's it for today.
Thank you for joining us.